Are you listening? Damn.
On this episode of the Endurance Hour podcast, the Christmas Eve swim challenge that Wendy has in store for you, plus her New Year's Eve craziness that she does in the pool. Training for a marathon, but you've never done a 5K. What's up with that? Why it's important to follow the details of your training plan and not going off on your own. And the pros and cons of swimming sets, and is it a good idea to go without stopping? The Endurance Hour podcast starts right now. So only a couple more weeks until the end of the year. Of course, we still have Christmas and Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve ahead of us. Wendy, what is this Christmas Eve 100 by 100s swim that you have a tradition of doing? Is it very similar to your New Year's Day or New Year's Eve swim challenge?
It is similar. So this will be, I believe it's our 10th annual. We, as in my friend Kirsten, I started this 10 years ago in Colorado. It's 100 yards or meters, depending on the distance of the pool. I like to do yards because it's a little bit quicker. And my goal every year has been to try to maintain a 1:30 send-off, which means the time it takes me to swim 100 plus my rest is every minute and a half. So therefore, it's a 2.5-hour workout for me. And so I like to create an event on Facebook. I like to include it as part of our December swim challenge and kind of get people interested in doing it, because over the years, people from around the world have joined and started their own tradition of 100 hundreds sometime during the holidays. Maybe it's not New Year's Eve, because some people's pool is closed on New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. And then on New Year's Eve, my friend Kirsten and I believe this will be our 9th year of, we ring in the new year. So last year we did 21,000 to ring in 2021. This year, the goal is to do 22,000 on New Year's Eve to ring in the new year of 2022. And I'm smiling because when I do the 100s, the last 2 years, because I create a video, so I go back to my video and I remember this kind of thing. The last 2 years, I've always had to throw on fins or paddles to try to maintain that 1:30 send-off. And I'm totally okay with that because, just setting that challenging goal and seeing how far I can achieve it is definitely rewarding for me. And then when I do my 22,000, I will mostly wear paddles or fins throughout the whole thing. And then I'll do different strokes just to mix it up, stretch out my neck, stretch out my shoulders. I'm not in any rush to do my 22,000. It's a 6+ hour endeavor in the pool for me.
And your nutrition during 22,000, 6-hour swim?
Not as much as you would think it would be. I always have a few hundred calories in my bag. I like to eat peanut butter and bagel. I like to eat Larry and Lenny's cookies. I like to have like a Tailwind or a Gatorade plus water with me. And I don't eat a heck of a whole lot during my swim. I don't want to stop a lot. I even though I'm not on a time limit, I still want to get it done. Mm-hmm. It's I usually will have to get out and go to the bathroom maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I'll have a bite of something because I know I need it.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily get hungry. It's really weird. I attribute that to being a very efficient swimmer, and I don't expend a lot of calories like maybe someone else who's an inefficient swimmer might do. And I just get really hungry, the next 48 hours. So once I get done with my swim and I start to eat, then I start to actually get an appetite. But for some strange reason, I don't eat as much as I would if I was doing like a 6-hour run or a 6-hour bike.
So I'm trying to look up here on how many calories a person burns on average per hour of swimming. No matter what, 22,000, even 10,000, you should be at a calorie deficit regardless, because first of all, you can't consume and absorb enough calories during that hour. Your body just won't let you. Same thing with when you're doing an Ironman triathlon. And you're going to burn more than you can consume. So at some point, you got to feel it. You got to feel, you can take so many gels, but you can only take 300 calories probably per hour. But you're going to burn most likely 300 to 500 calories per hour.
Right. I think I just don't get hungry. I do get cold. So I will swim this in I call it the warm pool. I'll swim it in an 85-degree pool at Lifetime. And I do get cold. So last year I did consume calories early on to see if it kept my body heat up and that I wouldn't get cold. And I think it made a difference. So I was definitely like almost making myself eat something even though I didn't feel like I needed it. I was trying to consume calories to keep the body heat up. And because someone told me that maybe you're getting cold because you're just not eating enough calories. And I knew I wasn't. Maybe I'm just a good fat metabolizer while I swim. So I'm just burning body fat for fuel. And I don't get that bonked feeling like someone might get. I've just never been someone to ever get hungry while I swim. I've been a swimmer my whole life. I've never had that urge that, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. Whereas when I'm biking or running, I can get hungry if it's an extended period of time.
This is an article from a few years ago, but there's some good numbers here. A 130-pound person swimming freestyle for 1 hour will burn 590 calories swimming fast, just over 400 calories swimming slower. So between 400 and maybe 600 calories for a 130-pound person.
Mm-hmm.
You get to a bigger person, let's say 180, then it goes to 800 calories fast and almost 600 calories slow for an hour of freestyle.
And when you're swimming, you're using smaller muscle groups than when you're biking and running. So you should expend more calories per hour biking and running just due to the nature you're using larger muscle groups. Wow. And you're especially with running, you're moving your body weight across land, whereas swimming, there's a little bit of that flotation. You're using smaller muscle groups. You're not moving your body in the water like you do on land.
Yeah. Less impact, less wear and tear. Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So join me. Anyone who's out there, join us on Christmas Eve as well as New Year's Eve or whatever day you can do it on, whatever day you have time to spend in the pool.
Wow. What a day, Wendy. 22,000 in one day.
I know. Last year, again, I'm lucky because, not that I'm lucky, I have no choice, but Lifetime Fitness where I swim, they open at 4 or 5 in the morning. So I usually am starting at the latest by 6 a.m. So something like this that takes me 6 hours, or this 22,000 will take me more than 6 hours, but I'm done, by noon hour. I'm halfway done by the time people are waking up for the day on a holiday. And so for me to get an early start makes a huge difference. I'm not starting at noon. I'm starting at 6 a.m. If I can start earlier, I will.
I'm just thinking that if you were a mean-spirited person, let's say you walked out of the gym at 12, you're just looking at people. Yeah, I just swam 22,000. What have you done? I mean, just that just the fact that you've accumulated that many hours in the pool, burned so many calories, and that your fitness level is so high, and you're looking at someone else and going, yeah, 22,000. No big deal.
Oh, yeah. If you've ever seen, you've edited my videos for me. I get really excited. It's such a gratifying experience. Even all these years that I've done it, I still feel like, yes, I did it again. I still got it.
Well, that accomplishment is awesome. I mean, you've come home from a century ride and you're going, yeah, I just went on a huge adventure. 100 miles on my bike, or coming back from like you did the 31-mile race last weekend of running, right? And then isn't that what 50K is? It's like, oh my gosh, I just ran 50K. No big deal. That's just what I did today.
It's so gratifying.
I mean, you're on top of the world, aren't you?
You are. And I don't listen to music. I don't listen. I just swim, and I'm in my mind, and I'm counting. Now with the Garmin again, when I started, I never had a GPS device. So it was always, you had to count. I am easy to count on the clock because my 100 pace was always about 130. So it was easy for me to count by hundreds. Being a swimmer on a counter, it's easy for me to count laps. But now that I have the Garmin, it just confirms, I don't have to think about counting laps as much. I still do, and I confirm it with my watch, but I feel like that sense of, okay, I can think about something else, but I still count. I mean, it just keeps me occupied. And then I look around, and I have other swimmers tend to do their own little challenges that day. I've got to know, other members at Lifetime, and I'll be in the warm leisure pool. They'll be in the big 25-meter cooler pool. And, we'll be kind of cheering each other on. They'll be doing their thing. I'll be doing my thing. So it's all fun. It's really fun when you get other people involved.
So how do they describe you to their friends? How's that crazy lady Wendy? She's she's just swimming, about 10, 15,000
Yes.
yards. And they're going, excuse me, what?
Yes. How much is that?
That lady right there, she's been in
Yeah.
the pool for how long? Yeah, that's Wendy. She's crazy.
I always think like there's cameras everywhere. And I'm like, gosh, I would like to see what is on the camera. If someone wanted to go back and look to see if I really did it, they could just watch the camera.
Or if they sped
Lady's
it up
still
in
here?
fast motion, the people who entered the pool, got out of the pool, and that one body that's still going back and forth, they got in, got out. Next wave of people, in and out. Kids bring their
Yes.
families. They were there for an hour, in and out, and Wendy's still going back and forth. It's like, is that special effects? What's going on? No, same Wendy. Still
Yeah,
in the pool.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I think about.
Yeah.
I've thought about that.
Rebecca gave us a question. This is about following our Couch to 70.3 training plan, which is on Training Peaks. You can see it on endurancehour.com. Curious, can I ride using cycling apps like Zwift, Ruvi, Trainer Road on my cycling days, or is it better to focus just on prescribed workouts?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it just doesn't apply to our training plans. So my thought is always, if you're following a plan, you should follow the intention of the plan, which means you should follow the prescribed details. For example, if the prescribed details tell you to do 6 by 5 minute intervals at a 60 revolutions per minute in a zone 3 type of intensity, RPE 6 to 7, you should try to do that whether you're riding inside or outdoors as best you can based on the terrain. If you're following a course on Zwift or Ruvi or Trainer Road or any other app that you like to use to follow specific courses, it's just like riding outside. You try to implement the intention of the workout within the ride. It doesn't have to be exactly. And we build all our programs using what's called Workout Builder in Training Peaks. So you can actually download the details of the bike workouts onto your app or your watch. So it'll change intensities or revolutions per minute based on the Workout Builder that you downloaded into your app or your watch.
Okay. What for people who don't know what Couch to 70.3 means, or Couch to anything, what's that? What does that series of videos, training plans mean when it's Couch to Sprint, Couch to Olympic, Couch to Ironman? Why are they labeled that way?
So we have beginner, advanced, intermediate programs on Training Peaks, as well as the Couch to. The Couch to Sprint, Couch to Olympic, Couch to 70.3, Couch to Ironman are longer than our other programs. So the Couch to Sprint is 16 weeks. Couch to Olympic is 16 weeks. Couch to 70.3 is 24, and Couch to Ironman is 32. That is the recommended duration of a plan that I suggest to someone who feels like they're starting from scratch. We did a video of what we describe as where you should be when you start these plans. Like we gave a detailed description of, we want you to be able to swim 500, run or walk a mile, and bike 30 minutes, as an example of where you should be when you start one of these plans. And it's just a very lower level starting point and a longer progression of duration and intensity within these plans. I think our most popular plans are definitely the Couch to 70.3 and Couch to 140.6 on Training Peaks.
People with busy real lives who have other things going on, they want to have a slow build up to it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of other Couch to programs, there's another question. This is from John. I just received my Couch to Sprint plan made easy. Most of our running and cycling is continuous, pedaling or running at slow pace. Compared to swimming workouts broken up onto sets and repeats, 25, 50, 100, etc., with rest intervals between, is there not a benefit to continuous nonstop swimming?
That's another good question I'm going to kind of dive into. There's definitely a benefit to just continuous swimming. As we just said, I've been known to swim, 10,000 straight without stopping, most swim sets as a swimmer are broken up into various repeats, like 25-meter repeats with 10 seconds rest, 20 seconds rest, 30 seconds rest. They're not necessarily meant to be all swim hard. Most people don't have a swimming background, and so giving them that rest interval or that rest period between a certain distance allows them to focus on pacing, technique, intensity, whatever the intention of the workout is. But mainly from a technique perspective, it's better to stop and rest, reset, do a different drill, do a different pace, do a different distance. And that's why you're also looking at the pace clock to see what your pace is. And that's mainly those reasons alone is why swimming is not necessarily continuous. If you do, I mean, running, again, you can take walking breaks and running and not make running continuous, and you can maybe sustain a higher pace with walking breaks, but you're not really going to like stop while you're on the bike unless you're at a stoplight or some sort of other traffic area where you ride harder, you ride at different cadences, and then you ride easier at a different cadence. Those are your work to rest ratios. And so swimming's just a different sport where there's nothing wrong with continuous swimming, but a lot of times, more often than not, someone is not going to have the experience and their form's going to break down the further they go with limited rest.
Yeah, you can't coast in swimming. And if you keep going and your form goes wrong, then you're going to be just swimming with wrong form. And that defeats the purpose of getting out there in the first place, right? And working on those drills. You want to perfect the technique, therefore you can be more efficient long term.
Right. So again, it just really depends on the person, the benefit to each individual person. You know, I can go do 2,000 continuous and not stop at the wall, but I also know how to mix up my pacing. I know what I feel like when I'm at a 130 pace compared to a 140 pace compared to a 2-minute pace because I'm an experienced swimmer. A lot of athletes don't know that. And especially if you're a newbie and you're starting a Couch 2 program, you're probably one of those athletes with less experience in the water. So it's good to break it down.
Well, this might be a good opportunity to talk about the How to Swim Faster in 30 Days. And that's a 30-day program. And there's videos in there to talk about what these swim workouts are. But what's the advantage of that for somebody who's asking a question similar to this?
Right. So our Swim Faster in 30-day program, we have over 42 videos of above and below water technique, drill, swim instruction by me as well as other swimmers. You see some videos of me coaching other swimmers from the deck, pointing out issues that they have and what they're doing right or wrong. And that is a 30-day program with the commitment that you're going to swim 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. And so the benefit of that program is it's getting you in the water frequently. And I give you structured workouts to do each day that each week builds on the previous week. So even though, you know, it's highly recommended that you do like a baseline assessment, like a 500 or 1,000 meter time trial, send me a swim video for analysis on day 1, and then try to do that again on day 30, you know, a couple days plus or minus, so you can see how much you've improved. And then you can repeat it as much as you feel like you want to, but it mixes up the intensity levels each week as well. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gives you a general idea of how to progress with drills and how to progress with intensity. And the difference between doing 20 50s with 10 seconds rest between each 50 is different than doing 20 50s with 30 seconds rest in between each 50. And I guide you in saying, okay, this intensity is max effort, this intensity is aerobic effort. So it's just a really good program, educational program for those who are new to swimming as well.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Now, there's a way to get this program half off.
Right. Just by sending me a swim video for analysis, we'll send you a 50% off code to any of our swim programs on Training Peaks, specifically the Swim Faster in 30 Days, our 16-week out-of-season program that you can do any time of the year. as well as our Swimming Made Easy program with over 101 swim workouts. Now, talking about the Swimming Made Easy program with over 101 swim workouts, I break down each workout ranging from 1,500 yards or meters up to 5,000 yards or meters at different focuses. So when you're working on technique endurance, you're swimming slower, you're taking more rest between repeats compared to when you're swimming a strength endurance workout, you're doing more paddles and buoy work. And then when you're doing speed workouts, you're doing shorter 25, 50 meter repeats at maximal intensity. So I explain what all that terminology means in that type of program.
And you can, to learn how to get your swim video for analysis out there in order to get that 50% discount, endurancehour.com, you'll see the option to submit, or at least to learn how to submit your video for analysis, which is free. And you can see all the examples. We've done, 200 or so free videos that you can see on the Endurance Hour YouTube channel. Jake signed up for a marathon in May, so 5 months from now. He's never run a 5K. So wondering, is this the right plan for him? Also curious what your Coach to Marathon training plan involves. This is from Jake.
Couch to Marathon.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations for signing up for a marathon. So thanks for asking about our Couch to Marathon program. I created it, and the way I created the program is the first 2 months build you up to completing a 5K. It includes running and walking, optional walking. You don't have to walk. And you can be someone, you can still benefit from this program even if you've already run a 5K. But it's a very progressive program. I believe it's 36 weeks long. And the first phase is building you up to a 5K, and the next phase is building you up to a 10K. Phase 3 is building you up to a half marathon, and phase 4 is building you up to the marathon distance. Now, the reason I did this is because, again, I think there's a lot of people out there who, we developed the Couch to Ironman program because there's a lot of people out there that sign up for an Ironman as their very first triathlon. There's a lot of people who sign up for the marathon as their very first running event. And I think it's important to get the necessary education, skills and drills, and a slow progression of mileage buildup. I used to be the team and training coach for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, where these people, and I've actually myself included, was a participant in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, where they sign up for a marathon, and part of them signing up is to raise money for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and then they get a coach who they have this, planned out. It's usually only about 4 months long training plan. And then I was their coach that I met with them weekly, and I tried to guide them through the plan. And I just felt like the plan was not long enough to take someone from zero to a marathon. And so I think the longer plan that I provided to build someone up slowly over time is safer. And you just develop, I think, a more appreciation for the sport of running when you have a little bit of more education within the plan.
Do you recall your first teaming training event that you participated in?
I did a triathlon in Chicago. I believe it was in 2004. Ooh. So I was the marathon coach for a few years back in Fort Collins. And then I decided, I really wanted to see what it was like to do an event and to raise money, which was actually challenging. So I signed up for the Chicago Triathlon, and I still had to raise like $5,000, which was almost about the price that other athletes had to raise to go to like Ireland for the Ireland Marathon. And so I was surprised it was that much just to go to Chicago, but I ended up achieving my goal. And I ended up, going to Chicago, and that was a fun time because, again, you get to learn, you get to train with other people, and you just make a lot of friends in the process, and just raising money for a good cause was kind of fun. And I just pulled out a picture a few months ago, and I saw it, and I just looked so different. I looked so different back then.
Yeah. Well, how do you explain that? I've seen pictures of you in the past, and maybe it's just some women who, when they age, they look better with age, or they lean out, or something with their bone structure. My wife is having it right now, and I mean, it's partly because of having 2 kids. Sometimes women just bounce back better than ever, and she's better than ever physically. It's just incredible. And then you physically as well. I mean, you look very different from 20 years ago?
I definitely, which is kind of ironic. I have leaned out over the years. And again, when you hit that menopausal type of state, perimenopausal, you tend to maybe gain weight. And I haven't at all. I'm actually the leanest I've been this year at age 48. When I was younger, I was just body structure. I have more of my dad's genes. I was just a heavier athlete. But that didn't slow me down either. I look at those pictures and I'm like, wow, I was quite heavy relative to how I am now. I wasn't heavy by any means, but I was definitely heavier than I thought I was back then. Mm-hmm. And just looking at those pictures, I always had different hair colors. Over the years, I've been red on and off, auburn hair on and off, short hair, long hair. And so that definitely has changed my look. But yeah, you're right. Looking at different pictures is interesting. And we didn't have tri-kits. I used to race triathlons in my swimsuit and only my swimsuit. Sometimes I'd throw on a bike jersey. Sometimes I'd throw on some running shorts for the run. And so just clothing, we just wore different things back then.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I've seen some of the things I've worn in the past, and like, oh my gosh, who is this guy who's just running in shorts, a t-shirt, cotton t-shirt, or the clip-in pedals that I would have, cages I would have on my triathlon bike, and the aero bars that were snapped on. It's like, oh my gosh, just looked like a fish out of water. Just terrible.
Yeah.
But it's the evolution that we learn what we need to learn, and then eventually it just becomes so easy. Or you see that newbie in transition. Go, I've been there. You'll get there. You stick with it.
Yeah.
I did one team in training. It was 2001, and I did it in Chicago. That was the Chicago Tri that I did, and I had to raise. Okay. I think it was $3,000 back then for that event. And I was only 3 years into triathlon. My first triathlon was in '98. And so doing that one was a pretty big deal. I didn't realize how cool it was. I mean, there was 5,000 people at that event.
That was a huge
park
race.
Was just rolling hills in the park where I don't know Chicago very well, but I just know that the park that they had us in transition, there just seems like acres of bikes. It just seemed like a lot. It was just enormous.
It was a lot. And I remember my wave, because there's so many, wave was at like 10 or 11 in the morning. It was such a late wave start. So I just got to hang out at my hotel, which was right by transition. The benefit of doing the fundraising is we had just primo hotels. Yeah. But it was good. It was a good experience.
You swam along the seawall, or whatever that was, and people could watch you as you swam along the edge there. Yeah. It was cold. I still have some memories, some race memories of the event and transition. But after that, not really much. It's a long time ago, 20 plus years ago, of the event. I can't remember where I stayed. I don't remember how I was living in St. Louis at the time, so we drove up there. And I just remember how big the transition area was, and it didn't seem like there's nothing intimate about it. There was no like ceremony. There was no your group goes off. It just it's an all day event. It felt like, as my memory, it's like just one big event, and even the bike ride, it didn't seem special. It's just like everyone's riding out, just riding. Nothing seemed competitive. Not that I was competitive, but nothing seemed like it was like, okay, you're going to the spot, you're coming back, and you'll transition, you'll go run, and everyone's just out there triathloning.
Yeah.
Gosh. One last thing as we wrap up this pre-Christmas episode. What's your next sports-related item on your Christmas list? If you don't get it for Christmas, I'm sure there'll be deals after Christmas. But do you have something, Wendy?
I want to get wall climbing shoes and harness. So I went to the climbing gym last week. We have a little mini climbing wall at Lifetime, but I don't have much experience on it. So we actually went to a climbing gym, and it was a lot of fun. And so I want to get more into that sport. And so I asked Santa to get me some climbing shoes and a harness. So when we go back to the gym, I have my own gear.
Oh, that's pretty technical, huh? It's a whole new world of the gear, I know terminology, obviously, but I'm sure there's chalk involved and special shoes that are super tight.
Super tight special shoes. And it's just a different type of strength that's intriguing to me because it's not something I've experienced in. And so I'm always looking for that. What haven't I done yet? That's challenging. That's also fun and something that I'm into. And I'm into strength training, and it's a lot of back work and grip work. And I've been working on my pull-ups, by the way.
Yeah.
I can now go jump on a pull-up bar, start from a hanging position, pull my body up for the first time ever. At any given moment, if I see a pull-up bar, I can just go on it and pull up. And I've always tried to work on pull-ups almost every year. And this time of year, I try to work on my pull-up strength, and I finally got it. So now I'm like, okay, I have all this pull-up strength that's going to help me with some wall climbing strength. So that's what I'm into right now.
And please take this with the right intent and honesty and genuine. Is it harder for women to do pull-ups, generally speaking, or maybe it's just a challenge for you?
I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe.
CrossFit
I mean,
has changed everything for
I think
everybody.
men just dominate with strength. Men just carry more muscle than women do. I'm a lighter weight also, so my body weight is lighter now. So that probably has to do with why I'm able to easily do a pull-up. Having said that, I have listened to other swim coach podcasts before, and they say flat out, like, you're not a swimmer unless you can do pull-ups, or every swimmer can do pull-ups. And I'm like, I'm a swimmer who uses my lats in the water, and I'm usually sore, but I can't do a pull-up. And so a lot of it was technique and looking at videos and doing my own research and figuring out how to engage the scapula and how to get the right engagement before you attempt to pull up. And I got it.
Wow.
And it makes me so happy because this is something I've always wanted to achieve. Now I'm moving on. I'm still going to work on my pull-up so I've done 2 in a row.
Okay.
Fairly comfortably multiple times. So it's not like I did there and I stopped and I'm done. I want to keep up with my pull-ups so I don't lose it. But now I also want to work on a handstand. That's my next phase of strengthening is doing a proper handstand progression so I can do handstands, because that's something I've never been able to do either.
So what defines a handstand? Is it a time in the position?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
I mean, you can probably put both hands on the ground and then get in that position and then tumble over. But is that considered a handstand?
No, I want my legs straight up and my core engaged, and I want to be able to hang out in a handstand.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really hard. I mean, I'm following this progression where I do stuff by the wall.
Yes.
And I'm like, my shoulders, my chest, oh my goodness. That's why I can't do it, because I'm weak. I have to get sport specific here. I haven't been doing that sport specific stuff. And now I am, and it's really fun. And so incorporating the wall climbing into all this is really intriguing to me, and it's going to be really fun.
It's funny you say about sport specific. When you said that, I thought you would think that a triathlete would be pretty well balanced with 3 different disciplines in their body structure and what they should be able to do, but it's not the case.
No.
You have to add some core things, planking here, some weight training there, some stretching, plyometrics possibly, all these other things to balance out these straight vertical movements. Or
right.
You got to do that, but you would think maybe on the surface, oh, that gal or that guy is so well rounded. They swim, bike, and run. They can do everything, but doesn't mean you're coordinated. I know that for sure from some of the guys I know.
No, and I can crush anyone in the water, but I can't do a handstand. And I'm up to doing a pull up, but I can't do more than 2 in a row. So yeah, my strength, pure strength, like traditional weight room strength, even body weight strength is not that strong. But I'm
you've never needed to do it either.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it does help. Like, all the strength work is helping me in the water, and it's going to help my running and cycling. Yet at the same time, I'm doing it more for pure strength and pull up and handstand and wall climbing ability, sport specific to wall climbing, than I am about it benefiting me right now for swim, bike, and run. It will, but that's not why I'm doing it per se. You know, I'm doing more squatting than I've ever done before, because I want to get, again, I've been doing this for 30 years. I have to do different training to get different adaptations.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to keep doing the same training year after year after year, especially because I'm older. I'm doing more heavier lifting, that again, it's going to benefit my primary sport, which is ultra running and triathlon.
I think about you and your size, and then me and my size, and to think that you probably have a better power to weight ratio than I do, and I'm almost twice as heavy technically as you are. But I would never look at you and go, that girl's a better cyclist than I am. I wouldn't think that just because my quads are enormous or my legs are enormous, and you're a rail. But when it comes down to the science and the numbers, you're a much more efficient and powerful cyclist than I am.
Right. And you bring up a good point. It's not about the watt number. It's about the power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
You can have a higher FTP just by gaining weight, but by gaining the improper weight, like fat mass, you're going to slow down, but that'll increase your power, your FTP. So it's really important to look at that power to weight ratio when you're analyzing anyone's FTP.
Yeah. And the same thing goes with running. If I lost 10, 15 pounds, which is the goal, will be the goal, then if I maintain the same fitness, I will be faster because I'm lighter. I'm pushing less weight across the ground.
Right. That 9-minute mile feel will be an 8-minute mile. That 8-minute mile feel will be a 7-minute mile. Something we talked about on the last podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all we have. I mean, we've already hit our limit. We're trying to do these half-hour programs and answering your questions. If you got a question for us, you know where to find us. Hopefully you do. If you're listening to us for the first time, you got this far, thank you. Endurance Hour is our name across all social media. We've got a huge YouTube channel, over 2,000 videos there. Of course, the website, the Facebook pages, Instagram, it's all across the board. So let us know. Hit us up if you have any questions or you want to be involved somehow. Let us know. So with that, Wendy, we may or may not have a post-Christmas podcast. Not sure yet, but we'll let you know on social in some form or another. So with that, happy holidays to you and happy holidays to all of you listening. I guess I'll say it anyway. Have a great week of racing, training, or recovery. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Adios.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Adios.